This world possesses so much beauty, but also so much danger, and the two often live in close proximity, as hikers in the jungles and forests and deserts know all too well. While admiring the colorful plants and exquisitely formed rocks, while gazing at the sunrise or the night stars, it is well to keep an eye out for certain other beautiful things that could inflict harm, like snakes. Snakes can be fascinating creatures, and some of them are decorated with magnificently colored patterns. Their habits are intriguing, their eyes hypnotizing. But most of us are very much afraid of them, and with good reason. Many of them strike and bite, and the bite of some of them is quite poisonous. No wonder the Irish are so pleased that there are no snakes on their island, regardless whether it was really St. Patrick who drove them out. Unfortunately, we cannot say the same here in California, where the dreaded rattlesnake bite has put an end to many a hike and many a hiker. But sometimes the non-poisonous snakes can be just as terrifying. I have slept in the deepest jungle on the banks of the Amazon River, where my closest neighbors were the giant anacondas, 20 or 30 feet long and as thick as a well-fed human being. When I say I slept, I exaggerate. And those who have traveled to parts of Africa, Asia, and Australia are familiar with the enormous pythons found there. Their mothers apparently never teach them to chew their food. No, they wrap their coils around their prey and swallow it whole, even the large deer and antelope. It happened some time ago that a bicyclist was riding along a trail in South Africa, minding his own business, when he spotted a gigantic snake, 13 feet long, with an even more gigantic bulge in its belly. Wondering what the python had eaten for breakfast, and happy that it was not himself, the cyclist snapped some photos and posted them onto social media. Over the next few days, many people came to take a look at the swollen snake, trying to imagine what or who that lump in its belly could be. Then suddenly, it died. Park rangers cut it open and discovered that what it had swallowed was a 30-pound porcupine. It probably was a bad idea to eat a prickly porcupine whole, but the snake learned this lesson the hard way. Like the snake, and like all living beings, we too become hungry and long to fill ourselves with something. We are desperate for food. In fact, hunger remains the number one cause of death, with 820 million chronically hungry people in the world. This is an unforgivable scandal in a world where so much want exists side by side with obscene wealth, obscene waste, obscene apathy. It is urgent to heed the call of the Pope, the call of Jesus, the call of human conscience, and respond to a hungry world like the human beings we profess to be. The hunger of every person on the planet longs to be stilled. It is a hunger not of the stomach alone. That is perhaps the easiest to satisfy. But it is a hunger of the mind, a hunger of the heart, a hunger of the soul. We long to fill all those holes inside us, those empty places which were not meant to remain empty. We hunger for knowledge, and so we listen. We hunger for connection, and so we touch. we hunger for fulfillment, and so we love. In our aching hunger, we desperately seek to fill ourselves with something, with anything. For every empty space inside us cries out to be filled. But the python learned too late that not everything we stuff inside ourselves fills the holes. Some things, like porcupines, just poke new holes, impossible to fill. Holes through which our very lifeblood, our very humanity, our very being is drained. New holes which can kill faster than the old hunger we had sought to relieve. Nothing is meant to be swallowed whole. When the platter is passed to you, no matter by whom, be sure and chew well, as your mother taught you, and don't be afraid to spit back those things not fit for human consumption. Consider well before you swallow. Or your principles and politics a prickly porcupine of petty prejudice and hatred? Or your relationships a porcupine of self-seeking and self-serving rather than self-sacrifice and authentic sharing? Or your religious beliefs a porcupine of empty superstitions and hollow traditions, meaningless words and gestures that fossilize you instead of transforming you? Do you try to base your happiness on materialism, consumerism, egotism, and all those other poisonous isms, those sharp, deadly quills enticingly and deceptively offered for our consumption? We all hunger for something, it is true. But before swallowing anything whole, be careful. You just might be swallowing a porcupine.